What we know so far is that there is one Barcelona player, not just any Barcelona player, right? But a big name Barcelona player that will 100% be leaving the club this summer. And so far, what we're hearing, according to sources, is that this is going to be devastating for a lot of Barcelona fans, that this is going to be something sad, that a lot of people might even cry about it, that this is a player that nobody in the club would want him to leave, especially the fans. And that's all that they really mention. They don't really specify who this Barcelona player is. They don't tell us who it might be. They don't even give us a hint about it. But they do mention that this is necessary for the growth of the club, for the club to achieve the goals, achievements, everything that they want to accomplish for the following seasons. They believe that letting go of a big name player is kind of necessary. And I kind of understand where they're coming from, because we've seen this before with other teams. For example, when Mbappe, that's the best example, right? When Mbappe left PSG, and this is, I'm not trying to here, attack Mbappe and say that he was the problem with PSG. But what I am trying to say is that PSG let go of a big player like Mbappe. They didn't even sell him for a significant amount, right? But they did let go of a player who was, getting paid a lot at the club, and with those wages, the club was able to then, distribute them accordingly to other players. They were able to, work their way, with the squad after the departure of Mbappe. And so PSG then got better as a team. And so when I look at that, right, that example, I think to myself, okay, well, there are some big name players at Barcelona, right, like Lamine Yamal, like Pedri, like Rafinha, like Joan Garcia, Paco Barsi, Dani Olmo, Fermin Lopez, right? Like there are some big name players at the club that would hurt if they left. But at the same time, assumingly that Barcelona sell one of them for, let's say, like 70 to 80 million euros, right? I could definitely see how the club might use those resources to then reinvest it into other players and sign at least 2 more world-class players, right? Because right now the club can afford at least 1 world-class player. They have around 160 million euros to work with this summer. But now imagine that they sell a player for 90 million. Well, that just increases to 250 million euros that the club have to work with. With 250 million euros, imagine the amount of players that the club could bring. They could bring up to 3 world-class players in the summer, not even playing. But now, of course, you guys are all, waiting in anticipation. Well, who are you talking about? Who can this player be? Like, at least give us a hint. Well, I was going through the comments, and what people are thinking is they're just thinking that it's going to be Lewandowski, right? But I don't know. I feel like it's been already confirmed. It's been already hinted multiple times that Lewandowski will 100% be leaving the club. So I don't really see that as like something devastating to the club, like something devastating to the fans, right? Like, we obviously love Lewandowski, but we also recognize that his time at Barcelona has come to an end. His time as a professional footballer is slowly coming to an end. And so when I hear these sources, when I hear these news telling us that one big name is going to be leaving the club, I really don't associate that with being Lewandowski. I really do not think it's going to be only Lewandowski. I think Lewandowski is going to leave, but I don't think that it's only going to be him. I think that the club are going to be forced to let go of somebody else for the sake of the growth of the squad, of their achievements, of their goals, etc. My mind is instantly drawn to one player, Rafinha. I don't want Barcelona to sell Rafinha. I love Rafinha. But recently, we have been hearing a lot of news that teams from Saudi Arabia want to sign Rafinha. That there's at least 3 top teams in Saudi Arabia who are battling to sign him. And I believe it was last season, we heard this season, but it was confirmed that last season, Al Nassr, Cristiano Ronaldo's team, was offering 90 million euros to sign Rafinha. 90 million, bro. Look, I'm not saying that Barcelona should sell Rafinha, but if 3 teams from Saudi Arabia are battling to sign him, and let's say that they ended up, like one of them ends up offering 100 million euros, right? If I'm the director, if I'm Deco, if I'm Laporta, I'm saying no, Rafinha is untouchable to me. But I can definitely see how these people, right? And I don't want to say these people, like these are my people, right? But I can definitely see how the people inside of Barcelona would accept that offer. I can definitely see that because we know Joan Laporta to already be a strong character. We know Deco to be a strong character. We know that these are the types of people that will make difficult decisions for the sake of the club. We might not make those decisions, right? We might be a little more sentimental, a little more intimate with our players. But I can definitely see how those, people in power at Barcelona might make a difficult decision like that and accept an offer of 100 million euros to let go of Rafinha. Ultimately, the player's decision matters a lot as well. So Rafinha has previously said that he wants to stay at Barcelona. He does not want to leave, especially to Saudi Arabia. So that's going to be a huge problem for the people there. But my mind is definitely instantly drawn to Rafinha first. That's where my mind is initially drawn. I guess out of fear too. Gosh, if Barcelona let go of Rafinha, well, with that money, they could now 100% get Julian Alvarez, Bastoni, but then even also another player. I'm assuming that maybe not just one more player, that maybe they could even get up to 2 more players. Maybe one that could replace Rafinha. But I don't know if Rafinha is replaceable, to be honest. But maybe like a young winger on that left wing position. There's been a lot of left wingers that the club have been looking at, from Musa, right? I don't think Rafael Leao is going to be an option, to be honest. I'm talking about the young ones coming up, right? There's Musa. There's I believe a winger striker from Ajax right now coming up. His name is Götze. If I'm not, mispronouncing his name. There's also been another player from Club Brugge that's a left winger, extremely talented. So the club could invest this money in one of those upcoming talents, right? There's also another player from, I believe, Red Bull Leipzig, if I'm not mistaken. I remember his name is blanking, but he literally has been a professional for only a few years. He was only a few years ago. He was only playing high school soccer, bro, and now he's at the top level, right? So there's a lot of players that the club could theoretically get, right? And then on top of that, they might also be able to keep, for example, Marcus Rashford, or they might be able to maybe sign another player in the midfield position. Like, so many options, so many ways the club could go. They could possibly even get Bastoni and then get like an additional 2 more center backs, right? Or even a fullback. Theoretically speaking, I could see how the club can make can take that path if they end up selling someone like Rafinha for 90 to 100 million euros. Again, I don't want Rafinha to leave the club, but I can see how the club could do that. That's where my mind is instantly drawn to. But obviously other people still think that it's just going to be Lewandowski, that maybe these sources are just exaggerating it, that we already know it's going to be Lewandowski, that's nothing to worry about. Now, what about other players like Fermin Lopez, right? Dani Olmo, right? Ronald Araujo. I'll be honest, I don't think a lot of people would be really devastated if somebody like Dani Olmo, if Araujo, say, for example, Lewandowski, as we mentioned, I don't think anybody would be fully devastated if those players left the club. Like, I think that the players that are like fully untouchable for Barcelona, like the players that we would absolutely cry about, is Lamine Yamal, Pedri, Rafinha. I would personally even put Fermin Lopez in that category, because the season that Fermin Lopez is having is out of this world. Pau Cubarsí, Joan Garcia. I wouldn't, to be honest, I don't know if I would put Eddie Garcia in that category yet. But I feel like those 6 players, I may be missing somebody, but I feel like those 6 players are like the fully untouchable ones, like the ones that, yeah, I'm crying all night if Barcelona sells them. Then there's other players like Dani Olmo, right, that are, they're good, but we wouldn't be fully devastated, right? Like, we would understand. Dani Olmo, Eric Garcia, Ronald Araujo, Balde, Koundé, even Marc Bernal, to be honest, Gavi, Frenkie de Jong. I don't know and you know what? I think I would put Frenkie de Jong in devastated, to be honest. But I can definitely see how a lot of people might even be okay with selling him. But for me, it would be devastating if the club let go of Frenkie de Jong. So there's at least 7 players that I would be devastating, right? And out of these 7 players, my mind is instantly drawn to Rafinha, but I can definitely see how it could also be Frenkie de Jong easily, bro. Like, I could see the club letting go of Frenkie de Jong for at least 60 to 70 million, which is I rate Frenkie de Jong as like around 60 to 70 million euros. I can definitely see that happening. I could even see it with Fermin Lopez. I could, bro. I could see it with definitely not Paco Barsi. I don't think that the club would even consider that. But I could definitely see it with Fermin Lopez, Frenkie de Jong, and Rafinha. I think I could see that happening. I think that I could see how the club would be forced to do that, especially because like if they let go of somebody like Frenkie de Jong, right? The club have players to back those positions up: Pedri, Gavi, Fermin Lopez, Marc Bernal, right? Coming up, so I could see that. I don't think the club should do that, but I could see that. Same thing with Fermin Lopez. The club have players to back him up. I could see how the club may be forced to doing that if they want to bring more players in, if they need those extra 90 million euros to help the team financially, to bring in, to revolutionize the squad, right? And like as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I think that it will be devastating, but I can see how the club may interpret that a move like that is necessary for the club to finally become a powerhouse in the Champions League again in all of Europe, right? If there are two positions that the club have been significantly missing in these last couple of years, it's the striker position and the center back position. As soon as we get two world-class players in those positions, it's GG's, bro. It's GG's. I mean, Barcelona in the Champions League with Bastoni and Julian Alvarez leading the attack, and Bastoni in the defense, and then Lamine Yamal, and then Rafinha, and then Pedri, and then Frenkie de Jong, Paco Barsi. It's a completely different team, bro. The team changes automatically, right? But in order for the club to do that, they might have to sacrifice. They might have to sacrifice a big-name player for a significant amount of money for that to happen. That's what we're hearing. That's what we're hearing. I'm not saying that it's going to happen. I'm not saying that I want it to happen. I'm just saying that that's what we're hearing. So I'll keep you guys updated for now. Hopefully this doesn't happen, right? I'd prefer that the club just work with what they have. If maybe they have to sell Balde, if maybe they have to sell Koundé, those are signings that I think it would sting me more if the club let go of Balde. Koundé I would accept. Casado I would accept. I would understand maybe a couple others, but in the end, I think it'll be. I think that we'll understand if the club have to end up sacrificing somebody for the sake of growing the team overall, right? But I just don't know who. I just don't know who really. Like, my mind is instantly drawn on Rafinha. I don't want it to be Rafinha, but yeah, it'll be tough. We'll have to see and wait what happens in the summer. It's still too early. These news could even be false. We just don't know. So we'll just have to see and wait what happens. But please, in the meantime, subscribe. I'm pretty sure that you guys have a lot of questions, a lot of contradicting opinions. So please comment them down below. And I'll see you guys on the next time.